Sure, the 1950s get framed as the decade of Elvis and Chuck Berry. Pompadours, hips, duck walks, the whole origin story, for real. But behind those headlines were bands that actually built the blueprint. Jump Blues, Wrecking Crews, Harmony Assassins, and Gospel to Soul Alchemists whose riffs got borrowed and whose names got lost. This countdown brings them back with the receipts. 12 underrated R&B soul outfits who made the sound before the stars made the posters. The Trinayas. The Trinayas were chaos before chaos had choreography. Led by twins Claude and Cliff, they turned jump blues into a high-energy spectacle, leaping across stages, cracking jokes, and performing synchronized routines decades before Motown polish. Their mix of humor, swing, and rhythm practically invented live R&B showmanship. The problem? They were too early.
We wanna rock.
Rock and roll wasn't branded yet, so when the same formula exploded later under new names, they got erased from credit. Their TV spots in the early 1950s showed America what a rock star even looked like. Slick suits, brass swagger, and sweat-soaked joy. Everyone from Little Richard to James Brown borrowed that attitude, but the Triniers' name stayed niche. History remembers the explosion, not the spark that lit it. Tiny Bradshaw Orchestra. Tiny Bradshaw straddled the world between big band jazz and the raw R&B storm that would become rock. His orchestra's 1951 hit, Train Kept A-Rollin', birthed one of the most recycled riffs in music history.
Train kept rolling all night long. Yeah, the train kept rolling.
Later electrified by Aerosmith, the Yardbirds, and Led Zeppelin. Yet Bradshaw himself died in 1958 before witnessing how that riff reshaped music forever. He was more than a band leader, he was an architect of energy. His arrangements taught musicians how to move swing into rhythm, how to turn polish into pulse. Without him, early R&B wouldn't have found its swagger or its shout. But because his fame peaked just before the rock era, he got buried under it. Every time that riff rumbles, Tiny Bradshaw's ghost rides again. Johnny Otis Orchestra. Johnny Otis wasn't just a performer, he was a movement. His orchestra became a launchpad for future legends like Etta James, Big Mama Thornton, and Little Esther. A Greek-American who lived and worked in black neighborhoods, Otis helped desegregate the stage before laws caught up. His shows blended gospel fire, swing rhythm, and R&B grit into a single joyous explosion. Willie and the Hand Jive might be his best-known song, but it's the blueprint he left behind that matters more.
You and that hand jive has got to go.
The reason he's underrated? He spent his career elevating others. When his protégés became icons, Otis quietly stepped aside. Yet without him, the 1950s R&B ecosystem, radio, touring circuits, and crossover hits might not have existed. He was the invisible backbone of rhythm itself. But the next band on this list proves how easily brilliance can disappear between hit records and history books. 9. The Robins. Before the Coasters made comedy cool in R&B, there were the Robins, the same core lineup, just earlier and rawer. They came straight out of Los Angeles with West Coast rhythm, streetwise humor, and a bounce that separated them from the smoother East Coast sound. Songs like Smokey Joe's Cafe laid the foundation for narrative R&B, stories about neighborhoods, mischief, and heartache with a grin.
Smokey Joe's Cafe. One day while I was eating.
But when Lieber and Stoller reshaped them into the Coasters, the Robins' legacy got lost under the rebrand. The original group never stopped performing, but history only remembers their second name. Their underrated status comes from being the prototype that never got to cash in on its own creation. Without the Robins, R&B storytelling wouldn't have found its punchline. Eight, the Spaniels. If you've ever slow danced to Good Night, Sweetheart, Good Night, you've lived through the quiet genius of the Spaniels. Hailing from Gary, Indiana, they perfected emotional harmony, smooth, tender, but never syrupy. The song became a timeless prom anthem, but their innovation went deeper. They pioneered the concept of the vocal fade-out, where the voices themselves become the echo.
Good night, sweetheart, well, it's time to go.
The problem? That one hit became both their blessing and their curse. Overshadowed by later doo-wop revivals, the Spaniels never broke back into charts despite flawless performances. Yet their phrasing, tone, and stage poise would inspire the Drifters and the Platters soon after. They were the unsung heartbeat of Midwestern R&B, proof that subtlety can be just as revolutionary as showmanship. 7. The Clovers. Before Motown polish, the Clovers brought grit and groove to love songs. Their Atlantic-era hits like Love Potion No. 9 and Don't You Know I Love You made them jukebox royalty, but not household names.
Selling little bottles of Love Potion No. 9. Don't you know I love you,
They specialized in harmonies that felt casual yet magnetic, voices overlapping like late-night conversations. The Clovers were pioneers of the cool R&B tone, smooth enough for the radio, raw enough for the club. But their sound got absorbed into the tidal wave of pop crossover acts, leaving their name behind. While the Drifters became the face of classy harmony, the Clovers remained the soul behind the curtain. Listen closely, and you'll hear them everywhere, from 60s soul ballads to early rock choruses. They made harmony feel human again. If you're enjoying this countdown and want more forgotten R&B legends brought back to life, hit like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel and keeps these classic voices from fading away. But the next group didn't just sing harmony. They built the bridge between gospel fire and the birth of modern soul itself. 6. The Five Keys. The Five Keys were pure velvet, made in Newport News, Virginia. They brought technical precision and emotional warmth that influenced everyone from the Flamingos to early Motown harmony groups. Their blend of gospel-style intensity and jazz phrasing made songs like Ling Ting Tong and Out of Sight, Out of Mind.
Ling Ting Tong, he would never be wrong.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Unforgettable to anyone who heard them. Yet, they were always the group before the breakthrough, the masters of nuance without the mass recognition. Their underrated status comes from timing. They thrived in a brief window between doo-wop's rise and soul's explosion, meaning they never fit neatly into either box. Still, their vocal layering and phrasing became the DNA of what soul harmony would sound like for the next decade. The Moonglows. Fronted by Harvey Fuqua, the Moonglows weren't just a doo-wop group. They were vocal engineers. Their signature blow harmony style, where voices glide like instruments, gave R&B an elegant cinematic feel. They're best known for Sincerely and 10 Commandments of Love.
Oh, yes,
The 10 Commandments of Love.
But their deeper cuts show how they fused romance, longing, and emotional intelligence long before soul music had a name. The reason they're underrated? Fuqua later mentored Marvin Gaye, who became the superstar everyone remembers, while The Moonglows faded into footnotes. But in truth, their arrangements were the prototype for Motown's emotional polish. Listening to them today feels like discovering the missing link between church choirs and studio perfection. They sang about love, but they built the sound of it too. Four, Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. They were the bad boys of R&B, flirtatious, controversial, and electric. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters wrote the original The Twist, but Chubby Checker's cleaner version stole the cultural moment. Still, Ballard's group defined mid-50s rhythm with their suggestive lyrics and slick vocal interplay on tracks like Work With Me, Annie. They blended gospel energy with street corner swagger, inventing the blueprint for early rock and roll attitude. What makes them underrated isn't just lost credit. It's how much they influenced everyone from Little Richard to James Brown. Ballard's stage charisma and groove-conscious songwriting set the pace for R&B's future. They didn't just twist, they turned the whole genre on its head. But just when R&B was starting to find its groove, one band came along that turned harmony into pure art, quietly rewriting how soul would sound forever. 3. Billy Ward and his Dominoes. Billy Ward and his Dominoes were the Ivy League of R&B harmony. Ward ran the group with military precision, shaping singers like Clyde McPhatter and Jackie Wilson before they became icons. Their 1951 hit 60-Minute Man scandalized radio, but broke boundaries by fusing gospel intensity with raw sensuality.
All night long, I'm a 60-minute man.
A mix that became the backbone of soul. Yet, because their stars went solo, the group's name faded while their influence exploded. Ward's tight arrangements and vocal discipline turned chaos into clarity, teaching later soul acts how to balance emotion with control. They didn't just sing harmony, they taught the world how to deliver it with purpose. Every silky vocal group that followed owes them a quiet debt they rarely get credited for. 1. The Five Royales. The Five Royales are what happens when gospel meets grit. They started as a spiritual group but transformed into one of R&B's most electric forces. Loman Pauling's guitar work on songs like Think and Dedicated to the One I Love practically invented the soul riff.
Think is dedicated to the one I love.
A stinging, syncopated sound that later powered Stax Records and James Brown's funk. They were spiritual, streetwise, and stylish all at once. But because others made their songs famous, their own name never rose with the tide. That's the tragedy and the brilliance. They were the bridge between the church pew and the nightclub stage. The Five Royales didn't chase fame, they built the framework for it. Every soul record afterward carries a trace of their fire. And that's our look back at the forgotten voices that built R&B's foundation. If you love discovering these hidden gems from the 1950s, you're going to want to check out the next video on your screen. It dives into the soulful bands that took everything to the next level in the following decade. Trust me, you've probably forgotten half of them. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you there.